Let's be honest, tours don't always go according to plan. You could get caught riding a full day in the rain, or you might be forced to throw your bike in the back of a U-Haul truck to skip to the next destination. And you could even try and check into an Airbnb and they say no bikes allowed on property, and that throws you for a loop. If plans go awry, does that mean that you shouldn't plan? Of course not. We create plans so we know what our expectation is, we know where we're going to sleep at night. And how much should you plan? Enough. What's enough? That is going to differ depending upon individual. For some people, this is enough. For others, they want to have a far more comprehensive plan. So only plan to the extent that you need to. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create an awesome plan. We are going to create Gantt charts, spreadsheets, burn down charts. Yeah, we're not going to do any of that. In this video, I'm going to give you information about planning down to a pretty detailed level. So what better time to plan than when you're stuck indoors on a winter day? Unless you're going out for a winter ride, in which case, save to watch it later. There are lots of reasons why you might start planning a bicycle tour. You could have had a friend tell you about the route that they're riding. You want to go along with them. You could have a bunch of your friends going on a particular route. You may even be watching YouTube videos during the winter and think, you know what? I'd really like to do something like that. This guy's channel is particularly good. So the purpose of planning is to figure out the answers to all of these questions. How we're going to do that? We are going to follow a 4-step process, which is going to be plot the route, research the route, create the plan, and then ride, baby, ride. Remember not so long ago when there was no GPS and we went someplace new? Many of you have had anxiety or trepidation traveling to the destination. So you'll feel the same way once you have a plan. It will reduce all of that so you have confidence of where you're going to start and where you're going to end up. Step 1, let's plot the route. Tools we're going to use for this are going to be like Ride with GPS, Google Maps, Apple Maps. I prefer Ride with GPS because I can control the route 100% to all the stops where I want to go and the things that I want to see. The first question you got to answer is who? Are you riding by yourself or are you riding with other people? And you have to answer that one because you might be completely comfortable with going for days without a shower, but others that are around you may want you to shower. Do you want to do camping? Do you want to do inns or hotels? Answering that first question of who is going to go is very important because that cascades down to the next things that we're going to plan. Where are you going to go? Are you going to follow an adventure cycling route? Those are great. They're already pre-vetted. It has all the stops for you, every place that you're going to go, your entire route on a nice cycling friendly traveled road. So if that's what you want to do, go to Adventure Cycling Association, buy the map, and I'll see you in the next video. But I suspect you're like me and you want to plan your own. So let's look at where we're going to ride. Are you going to follow an established path like the Ohio to Erie Trail or the Gap and the C&O or the Empire Trail? Are you going to go off-road like bikepacking.com and spend a couple days in the desert? Are you going to ride an on-road ride like across the United States? So let's assume that you're going to be riding a trail like the Ohio to Erie Trail. Let's boot up Ride with GPS and plot the route. So we start in Cincinnati, we end in Cleveland. Are we done?
Not remotely.
For some people, this is enough. They are done. They just have a route to follow. For others, though, they want more of an idea of where they're going to sleep at night, where they're going to get breakfast, where they're going to get food, are they going to camp? And that brings the next part, which is the fun part, the research and planning. As we plan this out, we're going to come up with a boatload of information, and I can't think of a better app to keep track of this than Notes. To keep track of all the information, you could use pen and paper or a digital app. I have an Apple, so Notes is already built into it. I basically structure it out in terms of what I'm going to do. I keep a link to my GPS route. I have a summary of what I'm doing for the entire trip. And then I break it down day by day. And you can see for day 1, I have the date, where I'm going to end up, a summary of the miles and the accumulated totals and the altitude. And then I have an itinerary of what I'm going to see as I ride through the day with what I'm going to do when I stop over. So now let's look at how we create all this information on our route put it in our notes, and determine where we're going to be going. We're going to be using Ride with GPS to map the route and notes to keep track of all the information around the route. To determine interesting things to see, we're going to use Atlas Obscura, RoadsideAmerica.com, and RoadTrippers.com. Let's figure out our starting point for the ride. We can't just magically appear at the starting point. Are we going to have somebody drop us off? Are you driving your own car there, parking it and leaving it and then returning it? Are you flying to your destination? For this trip, let's assume we're renting a car one way to our starting point, and then we'll do the same returning home from our destination. I like to use airports from either side because they're open 24/7, so I can easily drop off at any time of the day or even pick it up at any time of the day. An advantage of using a one-way rental is that you don't have to break the bike down into a box. So I'm driving to Cincinnati, and I'm going to the airport, which is down here a little bit to the southwest, but I have to find a place overnight to stay. So I will look for hotels in the area. I can search using the hotels button inside Google, and it shows me a list of the hotels in the area. Zooming in close to the airport, which means I don't have a long drive, I can search around for different rates of different hotels that offer me free breakfast. And then I can start my trip dragging the start icon to the terminal at the airport. And then what I will do is route the route itself to the Residence Inn where I'm going to be planning to stay. So now that I've got my lodging set, I'm going to add a custom point of interest, and I'm going to classify it as lodging. I'll put the name in Residence Inn because that's where we're going to stay. And now that we have our overnight, we need to find some sort of place to eat. So I'm going to switch from searching for hotels to search for restaurants. And I'm going to zoom in close to the hotel, someplace that I can get to by walking or on my bike. I got a Subway, a Four Forks Kitchen, and Hothead Burritos. Who's not down for a burrito? Okay, so now we're on to planning what we're going to see on day one, and it's about time we get this ride started. Here you can see that I've put my first agenda item into the day. So since we have free breakfast at the Residence Inn, I've noticed that day one starts out with breakfast in the hotel. To find interesting things along the route, I'll zoom into my area and look at certain sites. That's a ventriloquist museum. That's for dummies. I'll look at this other thing. It doesn't look interesting. This is Clive. Looks like an alien from a parking garage. I'll click into that. That's interesting. That'll make some good video. So I'll read about it and see if it's something I want to see. For me personally, a large alien head coming out of a parking garage is definitely worthy of a stop. So I'll zoom into the area near where this is located. I'll put in the address from Atlas Obscura. It's going to give me the marker, and I will include that in my route so I can ride past it and give you guys a video. So now that I got something interesting to see, I saw this scenic overlook on Google Maps, so I can click into this, look at the photos, and see if this is someplace that I want to stop. So I decided, yep, I definitely want to stop there. So I drag my route over to that scenic overlook and I drop it. And now I'm rerouted to my new area. Now we're going to add these into my plan. So I started at the Residence Inn, which was 3 miles into the route. Now I'm going to add the scenic overlook. So I choose an icon. You can do whatever you want here, but I'll put a little picture of a scenery here, and I'll put it at 9 miles into the ride. I am going to stop at the scenic viewpoint. The next one that I'm going to stop at is the alien in the parking garage, so I'm going to add a little alien here. So that's at 12 miles. I'm going to put the alien in the parking garage, and now I had the beginnings of my plan. I'll also capture the URL around the particular site so that I have context that I can read when I get there. I'll continue in the same vein, adding sites from Roadside America, Atlas Obscura, Google Maps, all along my route. But eventually I have to look for a place to sleep at night, and that's either going to be camping or lodging. So let's take a look at how we find camping along the route. So here I'm going to zoom out so that I can get to my daily distance. I generally ride about 70 miles per day. So I'll look kind of at where that is. And that's kind of centered right around this Waynesville area on my path, sort of in this particular area here. Now I'll hop on over to Google Maps and type in campground, and it will show me a list of the sites that are tagged as campground inside Google Maps. From here I can see how close these are to my intended route of travel and whether I want to stay at any of these. Another excellent resource that you can use when you're planning your trip is actually the Trails website. So for the Ohio to Erie Trail, I can plan my trip, look at the camp list, and then pull up the complete list in Google Sheets, which gives me looks like a location right here at Spring Valley, the information around the campsite, and a link to the campsite page. So Constitution Park is a little bit north of where I wanted to stay, but it's close enough. If I navigate to the link that was provided in the trail planning website, I can find that there is a PDF on the camping permit, and I can see that this is a bargain at only $5 per site.
I, for one, am not going to argue with $5.
To complete my plan, I'll put a little camp icon in there, and at 70 miles I arrive at Constitution Park in Spring Valley, Ohio. Then I'm going to go over to my actual route on Ride with GPS and add myself a custom point of interest here and put in that this is a camping location in Constitution Park. Now you'll notice on the left-hand side it gives me the mileage, and it also shows me how many miles to get to Constitution Park right there automatically, and the elevation. So I will add those into the day's tally, 74 miles and 2274 feet of elevation.
Next up is where are we going to get breakfast the next morning?
I'll start my search for breakfast in the Spring Valley area. I'll put breakfast into Google Maps. It will come up with a list of breakfast places. So right around the corner here is Slim's Neighborhood Bar and Grill. I can drill in and look at the hours. If they don't particularly work for me, like I'm going to be there on a Tuesday, I can look further down the route that I'm going to be traveling and say, okay, Xenia has a couple of options. So I'm going to look here and see, oh, they've got a McDonald's. That works for me. I'll then go over to my route. I'll drag that over to the McDonald's so my GPS can route me over there. And then I'll go back to my plan. I'll create for day 2 where I'm going to be stopping for breakfast the next morning. Put a little coffee there and say McDonald's.
And that's it. Keep repeating, finding out your breakfast spots, your daily itinerary, and your overnight stops. And at the end, you're left with a plan like this. You can see I will have camping sites and lodging sites and exactly where these are going to be during the trip. And if you look at the plan, you'll have this all listed out on your daily itinerary so you can see where you're staying at night, your hyperlinks, how much the hotels are, etc. If there's any other information that I missed that you wanted to know, let me know in the comments and I'll respond to you about how I go about doing what it is that you're looking for. So keep riding and I will see you in 2026.